This is Widdenham farm, and it's named after Withy's. It's Withy farm. Withy is an old name for willow. Some people still use it today. And it has a stream right next to it that's been gushing into the Bybrook. I forgot to mention when we were down at Druitt Mill, there is a stream there called the Lid, and initially, or Lyde, I don't know, probably Lyde, which I'll go into, but what it is that I thought the Saxon Charter might have gone down there, that the real name of that was the Wæfer, and but it isn't. Lid probably comes from the Old English cleda, which becomes in modern English loud. A lot of streams are called the loud stream. Well, that's the original birth name, as it were. That up there is conifer wood, and conifer is an old. Well, he says it's Middle English. I'm pretty well. It does come from French originally, I think. Yeah, Middle English. It's a Middle English word for coney, as in rabbit. That's the rabbit wood, basically. It's actually a substantial river. I wouldn't call it a brook at all, but there you go. I don't make these decisions. The Cleve conifer wood, which you can just see there, hold on. So conifer wood, which I pointed out to you earlier on, again forgot to mention, it's also known as cleve wood, and that is because it is on a steep slope. It's where we get our modern name cleve, and also the word cliff, and so wherever you're in a village with cliff in it, or cleve, this is Old English. It means steep slope. Not always a sheer drop like you get with the modern cliff. But a cleve is a steep slope. And I'm not looking, I have to walk up there later in a bit. I'm not looking forward to it. But it's a very substantial river and very attractive. If I was a sporting type, I might have got a fishing licence. I had a go. What a nice place. So this along here is Meadland. The reason why it's called Meadland, what mead represents is land next to a river. And it has done since Anglo-Saxon times, and it's very often held in common by a community, and as we've seen earlier on, can be held in common by two communities. And this is longmead and sedge mead. Sedge is a plant that is found next to rivers. Now Meadland, what you do with Meadland is that you might graze it for a small period, and then after that you will cut it. You might not graze it at all, but you'd cut it for grass several times a year, 2, 3 maybe, and you store that, certainly in the early medieval period, store that away for the winter, and by doing that, if you do that, you can keep your animals alive. over winter. Now we have quite mild winters down here, but they are pretty wet. It is, you will see hardier animals being out to grazing during the winter in the south, certainly in the south of England. But if it's really, really bad, you've got that insurance of having mown grass, hay, and it's a different. There is a place name called Hag Hill which uses the word hay. It's now hag, and that's a different type of hay. It is a hay is a hedged-in area, an enclosure. And you find them in towns in the medieval period as well as out here in the country. And what it's telling us is that that is a private little area, but hay's not necessarily grown on it. The hay comes from haga or haya in Old English, and the word hay, as in long grass with flowers in it, comes from a different word. So I'm heading for Hungerford Wood. Now, hunger doesn't, in a landscape context, doesn't normally mean hunger, as in lack of food. It means hanger. It's Old English hangran, and still archaic, but modern English hanger. There's a wood hanging off a hillside. It is. You can see it going over the brow and coming towards you, and that is a hanger wood. So that's what we're seeing, and it's also mentioning the ford. So that means I know that there's a ford coming up, which means I've got my boots on, my waterproof, so I should be able to get through it. So it gives me a good indication of what's ahead. So these topographical names are very, very useful. That's a bit of a surprise. So that means if I'd known that before, and I could have planned a different route, because Wildlife Trust lets you wander all over the shop. So you can explore more of the landscape with Wildlife Trust. My criticisms, actually no, I'm whining, don't let me whine. They do a good job, and it's beneficial to me to be able to, and they do it legally. They buy the place and then they can decide who walks on it, and Wildlife Trust thinks everybody should walk on it, so you know, I shall stop whining. Right, so this could be the area of the ford, and it is a bridge. See if we can see anything of it. See how old it is. So we've got RSJ. It's obviously modern, 20th century, maybe late 19th. You've got stonework, that could be 18th century, 19th century. This foundation could be even older. You can see how that could be a ford. Look how, I don't know whether you can see. It is very shallow, though fast moving. And yes, that's a nice sight. Oh, blimey. That was an easy hill to climb up. I just ran up it basically. Not. The parish boundary continues along the Bybrook, the Wæfer, and that farmhouse I showed you, the run-down one, the 17th century one, retains its name. Weavern, and so that's a nice remnant of something. I only really like to use names that have survived, where people actually live there, and it looks like nobody lives there now, but with spitting distance of a realised living language name from the past that was still in existence. It's still on our maps today, but like a lot of things on our maps are disappearing. I look for BS's on the maps, and you see it means boundary stone. A lot of them are just gone, and the OS maps have only been around for like 150, 200 years. But you know, it's our generation, the generation before that, and the generation before that is committed real heritage crimes. But this way down this road, the road forks here, and down there is Hag Hill, and that's a Haga or Ha or Haya, and means hedged in area. It probably means that. It may not, but that's the probable explanation for it. And this is Stickley Hill here, which was identified by Jonathan Parkhouse. Is that his name? 10 out of 10. Brilliant work. I really liked it. This is one of the reasons I did this walk, and I recommend for those who are theorising about the landscape to get in it to find out. So the only flaw I had in his, and he did 2 reports, The only flaw was, he said that at Meancroft it might have been held in common because it's difficult to demarcate. As I've demonstrated on film, there's actually three. There's actually a channel that's been dug, a ditch that's been dug. There's the river Bybrook, and then there's a hedge. So they're all landmarks. So the technology to do those three things were available to the Anglo-Saxons. So that argument, we have to look elsewhere, I think, for the reason why that was held in common. I think because the land just wasn't, it was cooperation, and it's something we don't really understand in our day and age, but I expect they understood very well. They would have, we know from later medieval documents about Meadland, there were particular rules that you could only graze 30 sheep, for example, from each household, that sort of thing. You can only do it from, Michaelmas to, Whitsuntide or whatever. And, things like, strict rules to ensure the fertility of the land. So in many ways, for those who are interested into sustainability, the medieval period was definitely sustainable. There were famines, but people kept reserves. So they make hay while the sun shines. It's that old adage. But as far as the Anglo-Saxon Charter, the Anglo-Saxon Charter doesn't actually impinge on this parish. Well, it does a little bit, but nowhere near this walk. The only way it impinges is on the name Wæfer, and for the river, but it meets the river much further down. And to get to it, it goes across Bearnan Lerge, which means the Lee, Bearna's Lee. Lee meaning either a wood or a cleared wood, rough pasture. Grundy, the master of Anglo-Saxon charters, sorry modern Anglo-Saxonists, didn't spot Bannerdown Road. And Bannerdown Road is the Roman road, the Strat in the charter. But Bearnan and Banner, they're just too close to not be related, and they're identified. I can identify Bearnan as around about there. So Banner Down means the hill of Banner, and I'm saying Bearnar's field, wood. So I don't think anybody else has spotted that. I don't even think the Place Name Society spotted it. So that's one for us amateur antiquarians. And the another part on the Anglo-Saxon Charter of Barford is the Conkwell, and that's pretty much the end of the charter, going back to the Avon. And Conkwell in the charter is called Cúnacha's Lech, again the field or wood of Cúnacha. Cúnacha is a Welsh name, and if you've been following my programs up till now, you know that I'm here my main job is to place the Welsh back into the English landscape, and because they were here for they named all the rivers and lots of places, and the English removed a lot of those place names, but they kept the river names. But you get where I've made the argument, the theory, that where the Welsh were able to retain some dignity, to hold on for a certain amount of period against the English, they were able to maintain their names for the places. So what I'm arguing is a sub-Roman kingdom, a Welsh, early Welsh sub-Roman kingdom in the southwest. And whether I can prove that or not is another matter. It probably needs an academic. But Cúnacha as well, damn interesting. It still exists. It's down near Worley, and I just thought I'd mention that because it's it's my hobby horse, and I shall carry on riding. Anyway, right. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. If you've enjoyed this, perhaps you'll watch this one next. If not, I hope to see you on another video. Ta-ra for now.